On this day in history, July 13th, 1249, the coronation of Alexander III as King of the Scots. Included in the following is an excerpt from the 1944 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica going over the history of the king. Alexander III, born 1241, died 1285, King of Scotland, son of Alexander II by his second wife Mary de Cossey, succeeded the throne in 1240 at the age of 8. The years of his minority were marked by an embittered struggle for the control of affairs between two rival parties, the one led by Walter Cummin, Earl of Menteith, the other by Alan Durward, the Justiciar. At the marriage of Alexander to Margaret of England in 1251, Henry III seized the opportunity to demand from his son-in-law homage for the Scottish kingdom, but the claim was refused. On attaining his majority, Alexander laid formal claim before the Norwegian king Haakon for the sovereignty over the Hebrides, where Scandinavians had settled since the 9th century. Haakon replied by a formidable expedition in 1263. Sailing around the west coast of Scotland, he halted off Arran, where negotiations were opened. These were prolonged by Alexander until the autumn storms should begin. At length, Haakon attacked only to encounter a terrific storm, which greatly damaged his ships. The Battle of Largs, October 12, 1263, was indecisive, but even so Haakon's position was hopeless. Baffled, he turned homewards, but died on the way. In 1266, Haakon's successor concluded a treaty by which the Isle of Man and the Western Isles were ceded to Scotland in return for a sum of 4,000 marks in 4 yearly payments, Orkney and Shetland alone being retained for Norway. The marriage of Alexander's daughter, Margaret, to Eric, son of King Magnus, was also agreed. Towards the end of Alexander's reign, the death of all his 3 children within a few years made the question of the succession one of pressing importance. In 1284, he induced the estates to recognize as his heir presumptive his granddaughter, Margaret, the Maid of Norway, and next year the desire for a male heir led him to contract a second marriage. Alexander was killed by a fall from his horse in the dark while riding to visit the Queen at Kinghorn on March 16, 1285. The Lament for Alessander, cited by Whiten, written in praise of Alexander III, is one of the earliest Scottish poems extant.